Out of this. One kick of the ball by Didier Drogba. Yeah, it's the greatest night in Chelsea history. Champions of Europe at last.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Blue Stand YouTube channel. Thank you once again. I know I do this always, but I have to thank each and every one of you guys who are constantly supporting us and checking out our videos. Our last one just crossed over, I think, about 600 views, and we've been getting a whole heap of love for it all the time. So thank you heaps. But before we continue on, I do want you guys to smash that like button, subscribe if you're here new, and hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all our content, and check out all our social media links below as it's coming through. And yeah, stay in touch with us. So before we continue on with today's program, we've got a special guest. And look, I've known her for a little while now, and apparently she's known me for even longer. She just hasn't been vocal in the social media platform up until recently. And I'm just glad that we've got people like herself coming out and being vocal about the fan, in the fan base, and, producing her opinion and also her content as well now. And we need more women, basically, in our fan base to give us a different perspective. Us boys don't always have the right perspective, and it's great to have some female perspective through as well, which sometimes provides a different angle. So look, it is none other than Elizabeth herself. She's doing an absolute amazing job of all these videos that's happening in recent times, her match reviews, player analysis, and a whole heap of excitement as well when we sign new players. So first of all, before we start, I want to say thank you, Elizabeth, for coming into the show. And how are you?
Thanks, Miss. Honestly, I need to prepare something when people do intros, because I just get really emotional that people say so many nice things and I never know what to say. But thank you so much. Honestly, it means the world to me. My heart has melted. I don't know what to say. And I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys today.
Brilliant. Just like always, I've got Amia and Kunal on my side as the panelists here. And yeah, let's have a very, very good show. First of all, I'll flick it off to Amir to kick things off.
Yeah. Hey there, Liz. Hope you're keeping well. I've followed you for quite a long time, actually. I think very long ago, you had I don't know, I think about 1,700 followers or something. And then just yesterday, I checked you out and then 15,000. Whoa, give me some of the followers too. But no, excellent content. Honestly, I love your videos as well. And I love the SW6 Daily site as well. Fantastic content on there. So yeah.
Oh, you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get into it. Then the first topic, of course, which I want to touch upon is, it's all about transfers now, isn't it? And everyone's so excited about the Havertz transfer. So right away, I want to ask you sort of, it's not exactly based on transfers, but more on recruitment, right? I think that now it's become clear that the managers off late have sort of had, an impact on the sort of players that they want to buy. I think it started with Antonio Conte himself, right? He signed Marcus Alonso and Emerson, and then we moved on to Sarri, who signed Jorginho, who's very important to the Sarri ball system. So, but this season, we have seen, signings like Werner, signings like Ziyech, signings like Havertz and Chilwell as well, if you want to take that into consideration, and Thiago Silva too. They've all been, sort of acquisitions which aren't particular to Lampard's system, right? I mean, we hope not, of course, but should Lampard get sacked, right, because he doesn't achieve the expectations, these sort of players can continue playing for Chelsea Football Club even after he's gone under various different managers, right? And I think that Czech probably has a huge influence on those in the scouting department. So what are your thoughts on that? And how do you think, that's going to shape us, to contend with the likes of Liverpool and City in the near future, and probably, hopefully, for a very long period of time after that?
Yeah, so I think that the problem that Chelsea was facing in past years is that we were used to basically like instant gratification, and you would buy a player or two that the manager wanted, but then he wouldn't really get backed, and you were forced with buying like all of these random players like Zabacosta, Bakayoko, Drinkwater, and you just have millions and millions of pounds spent and in salaries as well. And you have these managers that you're not backing, so then you're stuck with the players in the system that you bought them for. So we have Marcus Alonso, he was used in Conte's system. He was brilliant as a left wing back, but now we're trying to slot him into a left back position, and it's just not working because he's not really a left back. He's a left wing back. So I think that we've seen that consistently over the years, that we have these very special niche players that are bought to fit a specific system, but then we're not continuing with the system, and then the next manager is kind of left with the problem of trying to figure out what's going to happen with these players and how he can try to use them, etc. So what I really like what Lampard is doing is he's saying, no, I'm not buying one specific player. I'm not trying to play one specific type. We've seen that he's changed his style a lot based off of the opponent, and he's buying a lot of players that are really versatile and can play across positions. We've seen that Mason Mount can play as an 8, he can play as a 10, he can play as an inverted winger. You could probably put him in a back pivot, he could play there too. We've seen Havertz basically play across the front. Ziyech as well. Pulisic can play on the left wing. I think I've seen him switch over to the right sometimes. Werner can play on the left wing or as a striker. So I think that it's really highlighting all of the positional versatility that all of these players have, and that they can really slot in anywhere. So we can play different formations. If somebody's injured, somebody else can slot in. While they're playing, they're going to, I think, be like overlapping one another and making it really difficult to mark each other, because you could have Pulisic come into the center and Werner on the left, and then they switch and everything. So I think that it's going to be a real headache for opposition teams. And kind of to answer your question, I honestly think that Lampard's going to be here for the long haul. That's just like how I feel about it. So I don't think any manager is going to come in, but I think that we're setting ourselves up for a lot of success in the future to be able to have so much versatility amongst all of the players and in many of the positions, so that we can change based off of the opponent, and we can change if there's any injuries, because we've seen this season that we were absolutely plagued and we were forced to work with like the bare minimum that we had. So I think that that's not going to be as much of an issue going forward.
Yeah, excellent. And completely agree with your fact that the managers weren't always provided with their first choice targets before as well. And looking forward to the future, and hopefully, as you said, Lampard can stay for a really long period of time. So I think Kunal's next. Oh, I think Liz has got something. Sure.
I've just got a quick comment to make before we pass on to Kunal. I think it's spot on what Elizabeth was talking about, the versatility. I think Frank really wants that versatility. He basically, I feel like he's looking for a lot of fluidity, so that players can, as Liz also said, that, interchange. They don't have to stay in the center half position. They can sort of go into wing position like Werner. Ziyech can drop deep and almost be like a deep line playmaker at times. And, obviously Kai Havertz. And the one thing I want to also add, and we've seen this, not just the players that we've brought in, and once again, I refer back to what Liz was saying, that obviously Mason Mount is one player that's starting to play in many different roles, but also Ruben Loftus-Cheek. We've seen Ruben Loftus-Cheek being placed in left wing. We've seen him in the 10 role in the friendly against Brighton. And I feel like he has to sort of materialize his game to fit into that sort of versatility-wise, so that he can play anywhere up front or in the back. And this is great to see that not one player comes out and says, oh, I just want to play this position. I think you should be able to, under Frank Lampard, I think you need to be playing in multiple positions. So, I just wanted to add that. Kunal, off to you, my man.
Yeah, cheers, Miz. This is my turn for personally, welcoming Liz into the Blue Stand squad. Once again, I would also like to say that it's such a pleasure to, talk footy with her. And I was just thinking about it, and I raised this particular point as well a few videos back, that football on the surface is such a simple sport when you really think about it. If you're a manager, you just need to stack your squad with a bunch of guys who are kicking the ball with power and precision, and that's basically it. So I guess the certain terms such as tactics and formation, they only arrive because certain players have different strengths and weaknesses. I mean, just like how Amaya touched upon the fact earlier that there are players in our squad who suit different formations, such as Jorginho and Marcos Alonso, and they are rendered sort of useless with other formations. Not useless, but like not as effective, I can say. Some guys are quick on their feet, others are quick in their brain. Some guys are both, but they have their preferences in position. And this is where my question was actually derived from. Because you see, Twitter is a place where you generally go for some goofs and a bit of engagement, but it's not the best place to have a proper football discussion. I mean, we all can agree upon that. Because you see, Twitter, but I witnessed the anomaly actually to this yesterday, where I came across a very good point actually, and that too by a rival account. I mean, you can't often rely on the likes of ballistic Bruno or sadistic Salah to come up with genuine opinions, but it was the case yesterday. So basically, I was going through my regular Twitter binge, as we all do, and I came across this tweet that was circulating around, and it was containing the season-long heat maps of all our attackers from, their last season. I'm sure, Liz, you would have seen the tweet doing the rounds as well, where it sort of became known that both Ziyech and Havertz like to operate in a similar zone to the right side of the flank, that is. And the same goes for Pulisic and Werner, where they both like to drift to the left and then from there they like to cut in. So with our starting attacking line allegedly possessing the same playing style and the same strengths, do you see that growing into a bit of an issue moving forward into the season? Also, do you think that Lampard will have to make certain arrangements to his tactics if he's to incorporate all this firepower that we have without compromising with the stability of the squad? Basically, what I want to ask is that, do you see this a problem that our main attackers like to do similar things?
I think that we have so many talented attackers and it's a good problem to have that we have so many players. We have Tammy, Werner, Giroud is still in the mix, Pulisic, Ziyech, Havertz, Mount, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Like you have all of these players competing for just a couple of positions. So first off, I think that competition is good. It's going to help to bring them to the next level, because if they see their competitor performing, then whenever they get minutes, they're going to be like, okay, I really need to impress because I want to start playing. I think SW6 actually posted a heat map from, I think it was Ziyech and Havertz or something, and it basically showed how they're like all over the pitch, and it was really incredible. I tried to find it. But I personally don't think it's going to be a problem. I think that the main formation, if we will, Frank Lampard is going to implement is probably going to be a 4-3-3, and we saw him doing that towards the end of last season, and then he kind of switched, but it was just because everybody was injured and he literally didn't have the players available to be able to play in that formation. But I think that we're going to see probably Havertz as an 8, and then Pulisic, Werner, and Ziyech as the front three, but then like I said, there's going to be many, many games. They're all condensed now because of COVID as well. You're going to have League Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, Champions League. And so I feel like Frank is going to need to know how to rotate the squad, but I think that it's definitely a good problem to have, and everybody's going to be able to get sufficient minutes.
I mean, very nicely said indeed. With all our signing thus far in the attacking area especially, one factor seems to be the constant, which is the flexibility or the versatility. Just about all our guys are flexible and can be deployed all across the front line, such as Werner, Ziyech, Havertz, and Pulisic. So in that sense, I think that the work for a manager becomes a lot more easier because you never run out of options. You can essentially create 12, 13 different types of front line from 4 or 5 players only. So I agree in that respect. And you know that my concerns, now they are quite nicely extinguished by you, Liz. I can now comfortably handle it to my guy, Miz, to present you his query as well. Over to you, Miz.
Yeah. Just on that, in regards to, just to go a little bit deeper on that heat map situation that both of you guys were talking about, because that's been a bit of an issue for me in recent times, where a lot of people are saying, I suppose Liz just said that, she probably thinks that it's 4-3-3 as well, because that's how Frank sort of wanted to play last season. And wasn't able to play because of the injuries. But here's an alternative thought, and I don't know whether this could happen or not, but this is just how I feel it could turn out to be. If we were to play, let's say, 4-3-3, and we have Kai Havertz and Ziyech operating in that same sort of area, I feel what needs to happen, if that's the case, 4-3-3, is that both of them need to really watch themselves not sort of going into their area. So if Ziyech plays in the wing and he loves to come deep, that's when Kai Havertz, I feel, has to go forward into sort of that number 10, the false 9 situation, because you also have to remember that Reece James is going to bomb up in that channel as well. So there could be a lot of congestion in that area. And Ziyech's game is generally not always sticking out on the wide spaces. Maybe in counters, he could be there, but generally if it's a low block, he loves to come deep and look up and loves to whip the ball, as we saw against Brighton, how he just whipped it from quite deep from midfield. And in those instances, I feel Kai Havertz will probably be much closer to Werner if Werner starts. So although it may be 4-3-3, like we're talking about, I feel essentially it may not be exactly that, because Kai Havertz, I feel, will be much closer to Werner. That then sort of makes me think it might be possible that it could be 4-2-3-1. Which then allows Kai Havertz to operate just behind Werner. But that's just a theory. I can understand how many people could think differently, and that's absolutely fine. Let's move on to the last question for Liz before we wrap things up. Liz, we've now talked about players that we've brought in from what Amir was talking about, that it's very much sort of club-centric and philosophy-centric, and it's not specifically manager-centric. And then, of course, Kunal touched about how Frank needs to manage some of these players who are sort of so versatile across the front four in many different places, and he needs to make sure that these players understand when they interchange and not sort of operate in the same areas. What I want to now ask you, Liz, is, through all of this and all of the transfers we've got in, all of the attacking talent that you've talked about as well, Liz, in the likes of Mount and Ruben, all the depth that we have, what do you think is your expectation for the coming season, which is going to start in about a week's time now? What do you think is the realistic expectation for you in the league, the League Cups, and also in Europe?
That's a tough one. So in the league, I think that we've definitely closed the gap. The aim was to close the gap in the second year with Liverpool and City, and we know what powerhouses they are. I'm actually really glad that City aren't getting messy, because I was like, well, then we have no chance if that happens. So I think a lot of people are telling me that they don't think Liverpool are going to be as good as they've been the past couple of years. I don't know about that. So I think that I could see us coming in second or third, but really pushing to be title contenders and close the gap in points, since the gap was so large this season. And then in that third year, I see us really pushing to be like title winners. The thing with Chelsea is that I feel that we're always used to like very instant gratification, that we need to win a trophy every season. And a lot of people are saying, well, if we don't win a trophy next season, like it's an absolute failure and blah, blah, blah. I don't necessarily feel like that. Like, I think we probably could win like an FA Cup or the Carabao Cup or something like that. But you have to remember, like, this is how I think about it, is that you have a lot of new players who it's their first season in the league. A lot of them are pretty young, and it's their first season all playing together. So it's going to take a little bit of time to develop that chemistry. So I'm not expecting instant success immediately, and I don't want to put that pressure on the players either. So that's why I'm thinking, like, in the second year, we're really going to get going and see a lot of progress. I mean, and then in the third year, we're really going to start challenging for a lot of things, which is really representative of the 3-year plan that we've all known and heard about. I do think that for next year, we really need to sort out the goalkeeper situation. Like, I'm not feeling super confident about winning anything with Kepa in goal, unfortunately. That's just my opinion.
Kunal loves it. Kunal loves it.
I mean,
so
Yeah, I was not behind Kappa, to be honest, and I felt bad for that in the previous season. But now I just think that I was ahead of the curve, nothing else.
It
You
just
know,
I feel bad for the guy, right? Because like I
yeah, the
want him to
personal
succeed,
stuff.
but I just see it like I feel like a lot of fans have lost faith in him. He lost faith in himself, and it's just like a lot of pressure to try to like perform after that horrendous
Yeah,
season last year.
yeah,
So the best thing for him would have been, I think, like a loan or just to try to like cut our losses. But obviously, like nobody's really buying him in this environment. So it could potentially, I had a tweet about this that I said the way I see it is that his value probably couldn't get much lower than it is. So if he at least plays a couple of games, you could probably try to increase his value and then sell him. And the best case scenario is that he does really well and then you keep him. So it could be a win-win. But until we sort out that situation, and also like the center backs, like we brought in Thiago Silva, but obviously he's not a long-term fix. A lot of people are saying that Malang Sarr is going to go on loan and then come back and be like one of the two, like Sarr and Tomori or something like that. But I feel like we really need to fix up that center back pairing as well. So until we kind of like fix those issues, I don't see us like being year in year out contenders yet, but I think year 3 is going to be the year that's our year.
hopefully, yeah.
So just to quickly jump into third season, we have to win the title according to you.
I don't know. We don't have to. I mean, it all depends on the competition, right? But I think that we'll be able to definitely challenge. And I think that, right now there's such a massive gap that we weren't thinking about. Just like, please, top 4. I'm praying for top 4, but I think that we'll be able to actually be pushing for the first spot.
Yeah, yeah.
Champions League, Liz?
Champions League. We haven't had a good run in the Champions League in a long time.
No.
I think if we can make it like to the round of 8 this season potentially, and then make it to the round of like 4, like the semis next season. Oh, that would be amazing if we made it to the semis.
After that, you can always scam the opposition with a goal and do the prime Jose Mourinho stuff. It's always after semi-final, it's anybody's game, really.
Yeah, I think once the team gains more chemistry, and they're all young players as well, so they're going to have years and years of playing together. So I think we're going to see them start challenging for more things as they build that chemistry, get used to each other and all the spots, and it's a very, very exciting team that we have.
I feel like I like the approach that you've taken here, but I feel like you're probably giving Frank a slight bit of easy go here.
Yeah.
Me honestly, and as I said, I mean, each fan to their own. Like, I'm not going to be absolutely pushing Frank, but I think he really the squad that he has right now, and I get it. It's a new squad. They all need to gel, but these are top-notch players in Europe. Like we're talking about. We're not talking about like second-tier players coming together. We're talking about generational kind of players, in terms of Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, he's top German scorer, like Ziyech, who's ripped up the Dutch league for so many years. We're talking about high caliber players. Thiago Silva, who's a champion, Italian champion, French multiple champion, Brazilian Copa America champion. So I feel like these players, they should be gelling quicker than if we were to get sort of second tier level of players who've got the potential to be superstars in the future. So I'm going to be a little bit more, I suppose, pushy towards Frank that, yes, not only he has to bridge the gap between City and Liverpool, 100%. That's undoubtedly, like that's not even part of the objective. That's a given. But I think he truly needs to, I feel, nail one of the League Cups this season. In Chelsea, we've always won stuff. And that's what makes us so special and so big. And that's fine that we didn't win last season. We were very close to winning last season, even in an adverse sort of situation. But this season, I think of FA Cup or a Carabao Cup, just to give to these players that, that belief. And in the Champions League, I don't think it's going to be good enough to just, I suppose, pass the group stage. I think what you said, if we do make it, Liz, to the quarterfinals, I think that would be a very, very good achievement, because I don't think we've gone past second round for a very long time now.
I think the last time we reached the semi-finals was 2013-14.
Schweigo.
Yeah.
Wow. What? 2013?
It was in the
13-14 was the last season that we reached the semi-finals of the Champions League.
Yeah, I was more talking about the
That's like
last
7 years ago.
That's why I said round of 8.
Wow.
No, but I think it honestly depends on the opponents, right? If we draw Bayern Munich in the round of 16 again, I'm not expecting him to beat Bayern Munich, right? So
Yeah,
I
but
think
you know what? You know what, Amir, though? Sorry to cut you off. We would only face Bayern, because Bayern Munich would be top seed, and we should probably be one of the top seeds as well. Or maybe we won't. I don't know. Do you reckon we would be top seed because we've been failing for 7 years?
I don't think we're in the, I think we're in pot B. I don't think we're in the pot A. I think we're in the pot B. So, but I'm saying the knockout stages, right? Group stages, if we face them, it's fine. I think we'll qualify as the second best team anyway, even if we face them in the group stage. But if we face them in the round of 16, right, like we did this season, I don't expect Frank to beat Bayern Munich. Honestly, I mean, I don't expect us to lose 7-1 again. But then I wouldn't expect it. But on the other hand, right, if we face like some of the unexpected surprise packages sort of, and then if we face those sort of teams, then I definitely expect him to reach the quarterfinals or probably the semifinals.
It could be the dark horses, to be honest, next season.
Exactly.
I really think that. Yeah, could be the
I want to
dark
ask
horses.
Kunal as well. Kunal, what's your objectives? Like, you happy with what Liz said or what I said? What's your thoughts on this whole objectives matter? Because I think this is an important, an interesting discussion to have.
I mean, on the subject of titles discussion, I mean, Liverpool just did a monopoly on it, and they absolutely smashed everything in their path. At least that seems to be the mindset that people are, going with. But I think we are also forgetting Liverpool were actually quite lucky in a certain month or two sort of a period
They've
where actually that Sheffield United howler.
Yeah, they've been overperforming their XG for.
They were just scamming 2-1 victories. I don't know, 7 or 8 games in a row. And so that's why I think that Liverpool, people who are saying that they don't expect the same thing to happen, lightning doesn't strike twice. And I agree with that. But at the same time, I also remember Manchester City on the other side of the spectrum were quite unlucky. They scored 17 less goals than they should have. De Bruyne was destined to have more than 30 assists. Can you imagine it? I mean, so,
Wow.
I mean, the title scene, I mean, what do you want me to say? But I also agree with the fact what Amir just mentioned, because Chelsea by DNA is a team, at least for the 21st century, that expects the title to, arrive at Stamford Bridge. Not so. In that respect, I think Frank, with the squad that he has been given, at least needs to be definitely closing the gap. And I think in a couple of years and in 3 years' time, if Liverpool are not quite, savvy with their purchase, and Jurgen Klopp, hopefully by that time, fetches himself a new project, their main guys all of a sudden are together going out of their prime, like Virgil van Dijk, Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah. At least 4 or 5 of their main players are all together. They're moving out of their prime years. And I don't expect Pep to also, remain in Manchester City, especially now that the Messi situation seems to have exhausted. I think he'll have his final chapter with Messi in Barcelona. I think that's so. Chelsea, by history, has been a team that has taken due advantage of such situations. It has always been doing. Remember every time we have won ourselves the PL title, it's because the other challengers who are at the top, challenging us for that honors, are going through a little bit of turmoil or are looking for a rebuild. So Chelsea has been very street smart in that respect. We have always, done a Jose Mourinho stuff on winning the title in that regard. And I think in a couple of seasons, I expect something like that to be happening with the title challenging teams. Manchester United could be a threat, in fact, in the future.
Yeah.
But like Glazers, long may they continue. So yeah, I think in a couple of seasons. Yeah.
Nice one, man. Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of this show. I think we've covered a lot of stuff, a lot of interesting information as well, from our guests, from our panelists. And just before we go, Liz, you're involved in so many different things. Here's a bit of shine. Let all our viewers know in this channel what you're up to, where we can find you, and I'll have all the description in the YouTube description section as well. So some final thoughts from you, Liz.
Okay. Well, my Twitter @ is Elizabeth with 4 H's _28 because I couldn't fit my first and last name in the handle, so I had to settle for that. And then also I'm the co-owner of SW6 Daily. We put out a lot of content for previews, reviews. We're trying to cover the women's game as much as the men's game this season as well. We put out a ton of edits, articles, basic comps, basically anything you can think of. So definitely check us out. I've spent basically the whole weekend planning content for the month. So we have a lot of cool stuff coming up. And just thank you guys so much for having me. I really had a lot of fun, and hopefully we can do this again soon.
100%. Look, I just want to say quick shout out to you guys covering the women's team. That's pretty good, because I generally have enough time to see the Chelsea matches. So I don't really get to see like the boys over here, and probably yourself as well, who gets to see other leagues. And sometimes I don't come across many players, and only when it comes a bit of in social media becomes a bit of a hype, as they say, that's when I start looking into it. But Chelsea women's team is something, obviously, as I said, like I don't really have enough time for Chelsea. So it's so good to see the Chelsea women's stuff that's coming out from you guys, which is quite unique. I don't think any other publication probably covers it as well as you guys do. And you guys have been getting a lot of like women's players and doing a lot of interviews and stuff like that. So keep up the great work. Amir, first of all, to you, and then to Kunal. You guys got some last words to say to Liz?
Yeah, it was great having you on, Liz. Definitely wanted to chat with you, it was a delightful chat, and hopefully we can have you again and other female guests as well, because it really is a problem, isn't it? So I think and we want to show that we stand for equality, right? We don't tolerate that sexist stuff around here. So it was great to have you on, Liz, and hopefully we'll have you again in the future. Kunal, to you, man.
Thank you.
I mean, we obviously, formed this sort of a platform to especially people who, we want to raise the concern for the other fans, from the international fans, and also the women supporters, Chelsea supporters such as yourself, who put out such great content but are, denied that sort of a respect, should I say, because I've seen that in the Twitter community, because such an awesome stuff your team has been putting out. And I'm very, following that religiously over the past few weeks. Around a month or so, because I'm very excited about the season. I'm very excited about this channel. I'm nervous about it as well, but I'd rather be in that sort of a position than do nothing, because in that case we have no expectations when you're feeling okay with how things are going. So I really like this feeling about the Chelsea season to come. And once again, thanks a lot, Liz, for sparing us some minutes out of your busy schedule. We truly appreciate it, and we can't wait to have you back on the show, really.
Oh, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Brilliant. Oh, so guys, there you go. That's a wrap. You'll have all of Liz's social media stuff in our description, and all our stuff in our description. Just before we go, once again, smash the like button, subscribe. We are very close to 350 subscribers. We're pushing towards that 400, and hopefully get to that 500 mark very, very soon, which will be a great milestone for us. And until next time, see ya.